24-17 South Florida still right now. Let's bring in Loud Esmond as we got the 3:30 slate games are coming up here, Loud. And Missouri and Vanderbilt is a big-time game. Big SEC implications, big national implications, playoff implications. Some people are trying to push Pavia for the Heisman right now. So obviously a big-time game. Listen, it's not normal. This is very unusual, guys, that Missouri and Vanderbilt are the 3:30 national television game of the week, Loud. Like, it's that big of a game. Yeah. Listen, I got Missouri win total over 6.5 on the season. And it was, they're 6-1 right now. They were flying under the radar. I love them coming into the year. I got a ticket on Missouri, a plus 450 to make the playoffs. So I don't need to be, I know everything about this Missouri team inside out. And I'm scared of this game personally. I'm like, I don't see how they're going to beat Vanderbilt. But the number doesn't move despite the world being on Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I got Vanderbilt earlier in the week at -2.5, and now I'm really worried about having put some real money down on that game because it's not moving, and it's like, what do the books know that I don't know? It's at home for Vanderbilt. They're on top of the world. Like you said, all the hype train is going their way. And so earlier in the week, I went, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to take Vanderbilt. Now I'm really worried that I made a bad choice. So there's that.
I'm not sure you did. Like I said, I don't know. Like, are Missouri going to be able to move the football? Right? I mean, Missouri run the ball. Vanderbilt are going to stop in the run. You got Pavia at home. You got Pavia who's played in like 100 college games now. Like, not that many, but you know what I'm saying. You got Pavia who's been in college football player for like six, seven years now. Bo Prabula is playing in his second road game of his life. Like the inexperience factor is a big issue. Like everything is in Vanderbilt's side here, guys. But what else are you looking at? What do you think about the Toledo-Washington State game?
Washington State-Toledo, that 12:30 game, it's funny. The coastal side of Washington State is under a storm watch and a wind advisory with gusts expected up to 50 miles per hour. Along the coastal side of the state. But on the other side of the state, it's going to be beautiful. So the weird thing for me is with the beautiful weather.
Which side for people that don't know?
Pullman's on the good side, right?
Sorry, Pullman's on the good side, okay?
Yes.
The near Idaho side. And
because I can tell you in Vancouver, it's windy and rainy like Seattle is. Exactly. Like it's one of those typical gray days.
On the plane. Pullman.
So listen, but the whole thing is Toledo playing a MAC, Loud. These kids are used to, weather or not weather, whatever. Both these teams are used to playing in crap-ass weather to begin with. I like Washington State. Cam likes Toledo. I'm going with Washington State here.
I like the over 44.5. Look, this opened at 50 or 50.5 and has moved down 6 points. I don't understand why. I don't understand why this game has gone down to 44.5. Just like I don't understand why, with the weather being as terrible as it's going to be in Seattle, and the fact that you have that open-ended stadium to the Lake Washington side, where the wind can just be brutal in that stadium. If you want to freeze your you-know-what off, go watch a game in winter in Seattle at Husky Stadium when the wind's blowing. So that game, it hasn't moved much at all, 55 to 54.5, whereas this game at Washington State moves 6 points down to 44.5. I'm on the over Toledo-Washington State. That's where I like it.
What do you have any thoughts on the Washington-Illinois game? I like the Huskies.
Me too.
I do like the Huskies too. I really wanted to go under in that game, but you've talked me out of betting on unders mostly.
Yeah, exactly. I can't do it. Average college games get to like 55, 56. So that's the problem when you bet these unders. That just is stupid. The average college, they score more in college than they do in the NFL. I'm a little worried of the hook here with Washington. I'd rather lay 3 than a 3.5. It's 170 on the money line, but I think the home field advantage, knowing the wins of that stadium, is going to be a problem. And Illinois' defense, another thing with the total, too. Illinois' defense isn't very good. But what else you got left?
I spent most of this week in New Mexico. I was actually fishing, fly fishing on the San Juan River out at the Rainbow Lodge. Very patient fishing guide named Doug. Shout out to him. And I found out something from the locals, which is the state of New Mexico generally sucks at football. So I am going to be taking the.
Hey, listen, Loud, I wasn't born in New Mexico, and I could tell you that. I could have told you that.
Well, you pick up local knowledge. When you go visit.
Yeah, no, but they're good this year, though. So you shouldn't tell us if there's a buzz this year. They're 4-3.
They're not. Yeah, but okay. So you've got Utah State coming in to play the Lobos. I'm on Utah State +3 here. This is mainly because Utah State is 6-1 against the number, where the Lobos haven't covered in their last 3 games. So I think there's a little bit overrated, underrated going on here. But that's my New Mexico because I was their pick. Service academies today, Army and Air Force are off before they face each other next week. Navy is at home against Florida Atlantic, who gave up 300 yards almost rushing to, I believe it was Memphis they played last week. If they give up 300 yards to Memphis on the ground, they're going to get pounded by Navy's running game. And so I like Navy in that one, -14, although I don't generally like taking service academies as double-digit favorites. They don't cover very well. But I do like them in this one. Minnesota, Iowa, 12:30. I think this number is actually too low. I think a lot of people are thinking it's your same old Iowa, Minnesota. Iowa's scoring points this season. They're averaging almost 30 points per game. If you throw out a couple of games, they've scored 34, 47, 38, and 37 points. If you toss the Gophers game against Ohio State, where they only scored 3 points, and you take the average that they're getting in the other games that they've played, they're at 27.3 points per game. And I know both defenses are good, but 38.5 I think is just too low in that game. And then another Pacific Northwest pick, Portland State, Idaho Vandals. Portland State, I was telling you earlier this year, they are one of the worst teams in college football, and they are. But the numbers on them got very large in terms of and they've been able to cover their last 3 games they're catching 10.5 against an Idaho Vandals team that just isn't that good. So I'm going to be on the 10.5 local play there on the
23.5
Portland Vikings.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sorry,
23.5.
Yeah, sorry. I was looking at the wrong looking at the wrong sheet. Yes, 23.5. So I'm all over taking the Vikings in that one. Any Wisconsin, Oregon, over 44.5 is, I think, the play there, even though Wisconsin might not score. And Stanford, Miami off the loss last week. I think they're going to pound Stanford, even though Stanford beat Florida State last week. I think that's a bit of an outlier, and I like Miami -29.5. Yeah, plus 23.5, not 10.
Wisconsin team total is 6.5. People are expecting them to get shut out.